Sorry, I got a little distracted there. In response, the beast, the fire breather, lays waste to the land. In this section, keep your eyes peeled for familiar terms, as I mentioned before. The dragon is referred to as both Draka and Wyrm, from which we now get the modern day terms. A note though, in this section, I am skipping a part of the poem, a lament by the one who first buried the gold that the dragon found. Okay, another long one, and again, not quite as well practiced as I'd like. Time snuck up on me, but that is okay. Ege hirod tele 50 gwindra, west efrod sinig, eld epterber, odet an angon, dekrom nitan, draka rixian, sed an heim hofa, hör bewe tolde, stan björ stepna, stig under läge eldum unkot, theran innan going nira, Mita natwirk, gefeng, hetum horthond, sinds fache, hi pät sitan, thet thi hi slappende, beersrid, wörde, thöfas kräfte, thet si thiod onfand, bufurk björna, that hi gevolden läs. Neles mirge weldum, wyrmhold abrek, silfes willem, Näthe himgesärges och ad för träen elden, thönat vilkes. Hälta verna, hete svänges fälle, ernes därför, ond der ennefär, sexin besig. Såna on fundet het, tham gista hera brogastod, fuerra erum skepan, tha hines her färgerakt, sing fet. Där besvirka färre en dam huse gräståne. Svahian gerum dagum, gammon nattvirk, ermen laffe, atlan kenes. Sanki kende, förge hide, dör madness. Eller hideath, forum aran merum, on se hetha gen löda duguthe, sether leges werf, weer wina gumer. Wende thasilikan, that hiltel fach, longe throne bruken muste, bierar gero, Vunnunde on munge, vertol gythum nä, vine besia, nero kreftum fest, there on innan bär, ergiastrana, ringe hirde, hör vi onte del, fattene guldes, fire verkert. Hård winne fand, ild utskete, öppne standen, säte birnade, björgaskeked, nako nithraka, nittes förget, fire befangen. Hina fullbonad svise ondräthed. Hige säkan skall hördan krösan, där i haten guld, varar rintrum fod, ne fid, him vita thisel. Svase thod seta, preu hun vintra hullon hrösran, hörd ärna sumekan kräftig, åt att hina an eblek månen målde, mandrite bära fäted väga, fröt och bära bär helfasådne. Thawes hör rasod on baran mega hår, benegi fitad, fäs schaftum min. Fräse vårda, fyra fängebör, formen sida. Thase wärm on vok, vört was genevad, ståne, tha efterstanna. Stärk hårt anfanden, färd oss norrlast, heter och forgestaff erna krafter, drakan häfede ner. Svarte mega, hon fäge, häteg hägedan, vän hon räkast i sith, säte väldenes, kiloget helte. Hjör ber slottna görn efter grunder, vulle gumman finden. Såna the himons befulte, sargeotere, hat und herre mod, hell oft imbehiruf, elna und wanderde, und der enig man an färe westine, werte winges gehe, bewund, werkes, film an bär ethwerth, sink fet sote. Het att såna onfann, that hefa gomena som gulles gefunden, hägres onda. Hör värda onbär erfolklige, ätet äfen kom. Vätsaske golden björres hird, völde läte, linge förgildan drinkfärtera. Seth west dags again, wirm on willen, non on wille lange bidan wulle, ak min bela for fira gefished, wasse frume edskelep. Led om man lande, swahit lungre werth, an hira sinke fan, sara grendod. Tha segast ongen gildam swipnan, björt horfubernan. Rene lema stod helduman andan. No ther hath quinkes lad lift, lefan vulde. Vastas vermes vig, vira i sinne, nero fagas nith nenon feran, huse gudskäte, gete leod jate on hinde, hörvas gärschaft fritte sele dirna, efter grestes quille, hafteland vare lige befangen, ballon brode, borges getrude vår, vigas und velas him so engle. Sorry about the little bit more stumbling there, y'all. Was distracted for a second by those gestures, but it is okay. So, thank you, Ash. This, as I said before, is my favorite part of the poem, and one of the few that echoes, not one of the few actually, one of the many parts that echoes all the way down through time. Though this dragon does not get a name, his story has been echoed time and again in literature through the ages. So, if the story of his rage is familiar, don't be surprised. He was the first being so fully described in literature, and if you play or know a dragon, it is very likely that seeds of their lore began here, with the great horde guardian, Beowulf's bane. Whew. And that is the end of my script. So, if anybody has, thank you all so much. If anybody has questions, any bits you want to talk about, I am a massive fan of pretty much, yeah, the entire poem. Yes, mostly Damien. How did I do on the pronunciation? Thank you so much, Damien. Okay. Like I said, if there are any questions, please feel free to ask. Again, the full free PDF of the entire poem is available over on the LitFest table and the side. And also a quick plug, a not quite so ancient book, but my partner has also published a tale, The Chronicles of the Dark and Different by T.J. Starling. So if you guys want more stories and short stories, please pick some up. Gwen, how would I compare Beowulf with Gilgamesh in terms of epics? No, Gilgamesh, it's hard. Gilgamesh really is like the first epic out there. And I think it is kind of similarly influential, though not quite in as blatant ways. There are a lot of, tales in Gilgamesh that carry down talking animals again. Not quite apples to oranges. Well, kind of. Gilgamesh was, I think, India, that region. I can't quite remember exactly where it's from, unfortunately. Not quite my specialty, though it should be. But I honestly don't know if I can compare Beowulf and Gilgamesh, I guess is my ultimate conclusion. I really love them both, and honestly, I have not done near as much deep diving into Gilgamesh as I should. And the Seamus Heaney translation as my book cover, yes. There are a lot of translations. I actually ran through a couple of them while I was preparing this, but you know, Haney was actually the first copy that I ever had as a tiny little middle schooler many a year ago. It was presented to me actually by my dad, who also loves epic poetry. And that translation has just kind of stuck with me ever since. So I think being able to use it in this context was just kind of had to be, if that makes sense. And yes, links. Tolkien uses a lot of it in The Hobbit, not just the dragon himself, but a lot of words. Orknas. You'll even notice if you read through, there are words. No, I'm trying to find a good example. Just names words that he pulls from everywhere in this poetry. Beowulf. Beowulf, yes. Beowulf was much, much loved by Tolkien, and he, in fact, did plenty of out loud readings himself in his professorial time at Oxford. It's another part of why I love the book so much, because I have a deep love for Tolkien. Okay. Any other questions? I've got 20 more minutes, so I mean, I can just sit and babble if y'all want, but I probably shouldn't steal the stage for that long.
You can steal as long as you want.
Thank you. How did I do, Safia, in your professional LitFest opinion?
You were brilliant. That was a fascinating presentation.
Thank you so much.
I'd love you to come back next year and perhaps do some of the laments like The Wanderer.
Ooh, I will happily be here as long as you all have me. Like I said, I am incredibly honored to be here and to be able to sponsor LitFest. You know, it's really, ooh, I'm even getting emotional about it. It's really, really a special time. No, and Fantasy Fair as a whole. Aw. So yes, you know, all of this is for Fantasy Fair, for cancer fundraising. So if anybody who's new, who came in before this all kicked off, there's a kiosk at the corner of the stage. Please, please donate if you can. All of the items up in my shop even are either 100% or 50% donation tier. So this is definitely super special to me. And thank you once again to, you know, all of the mentors, Sophia, of course, all of the ministers. And just everybody who takes care of a Fantasy Fair for us. My shop is attached to my sim. It's called Empire of Crowns. I am over on Nysaris.
So, can I ask, what drew you to Old English and Anglo-Saxon particularly?
Oh, that's a good question. I have always, as kind of indicated by the fact that I'm here at Fantasy Fair, I've always been a fan of fantasy. And, you know, as I said in the beginning of the presentation, this Old English and this poem specifically is where so much of it leads back. It's our first mention in anything even remotely English, Anglo-Saxon, Germanic, mentions things like orcs. There's mention of elves, the dragon, of course. I play a dragon as one of my one and only characters, and I love them deeply. So the fact that this poem and these words are really, really the basis of where so much of that mythology comes from. It's just mind blowing to me. And I feel like every time I look into and research more fantasy literature, it just always leads right back here. It's okay, Chandra. The dragon had a beautiful whistly or whatever those were greetings, so your mic being on is totally fine. Oh gosh. Oh, thank you actually for that question, Huckleberry, because that brings up my other plug. I did not learn Old English at all. um, Thank you for thinking that I'm fluent, because this was definitely a good few weeks of preparation of picking things out, but actually, there's a great lot of great online pronunciation guides, but also at the very end of the note card that's up available, again, up at the front. This little mesh book here of Beowulf has the note card, a summary of all of my readings, but at the end there I have a link to the incredible performance by historian Benjamin Bagme, who does the entire roughly first half of the poem, start to finish, completely in Old English while playing the harp, which is a terrifying prospect, but maybe someday I'll get there. And I just used him, scoured that video a lot to try and track down the pronunciation as best I could. No, thank you guys. Yes, Gwen should help with the harping. And I'll go ahead and link it here because he throws in some singing and, like I said, harp, and I'm going to be doing a tiny little excerpt again, a little bit more like this in my next performance next Monday. Be singing and harp playing myself, though probably not quite to his level of excellence. But if you guys liked Beowulf, please swing on by. I'll be doing a slightly more lyrical and musical version of an excerpt that I didn't include in this presentation, but the funeral of Shield Sheffing and harp to accompany, among many other things. But yes. Would love
Where,
to see him
where
live,
will,
Gwen. Oh, sorry, Sophia.
sorry, where will that be?
That is going to be on the event stage in Giraffe-landia, I think is how it's pronounced. Yeah, the big event stage out near the beautiful, gorgeous little Fairchild and those lands. Girafforia, yes, thank you so much. It's in Girafforia. It's going to be at 8 p.m. SLT next Monday, the 1st of May, May Day. And that'll be shifting a little bit from Old English. I'll be doing some Irish folk music, a harp and singing, and then a few of my own original compositions as well.
I'd just like to tell people that there are some more events for us today. Well, one event anyway, hang on. So at 5 o'clock, there will be a LitFest tour to Dinglare. Aoife, perhaps, who's leading it? Is it going to be you? And then tomorrow morning, bright and early at 6:30, there is a Milkwood Dash. Well, if you want to find out about the events, just look at the website. If you go under events to the LitFest page, there is a schedule there, and there's also a calendar, so you can actually see all the events that are happening. And I'm still getting last minute details for some events, so it's not quite complete yet, but it certainly gives you the next couple of days at any one time. And it does say what the events will be. It's just more details will come later. Monochrome, I hope you've been able to get to some of our events as you're sponsoring it.
Yes, I am going to do my absolute best. I work Mondays through Fridays, but luckily I work from home. So at the very least, I'll, tag along and be able to sit in the background. But I will go ahead and cede the stage, as it were. I'm getting all tongue-tied. Brain is finally catching up to the fact that I did so much in a completely different language. Thank you, Minka. Yeah, like I said, I'd love to come back. So, whatever y'all need from me. It is a tongue twister challenge, yes. Okay. I'm going to turn off voice before I keep tongue twisting. But again, thank you all so much for coming to hear me. Please donate to the fair, and I hope you guys enjoy all of the incredible creations and sins that are out there. I believe there's a big event on Kumbala tonight. It'll be very much fun. Okay, bye-bye, everybody.